The moment I knew my marriage was over, I was standing in our kitchen at 2 in the morning, holding Vanessa's credit card statement like it was a loaded gun. The charge read, Oceanview Resort and Spa, 2 nights, executive suite, $2,847.32. I was home that weekend, alone, eating leftover Chinese food and watching baseball. Just another quiet weekend I was used to. I thought everything was normal. I was wrong. I should have seen it coming. Hell, maybe I did and just refused to believe it. But standing there, in my boxers and an old Metallica t-shirt, everything clicked into place with the kind of clarity that makes your stomach drop through the floor. My name is Alex Mercer. I'm 34 years old, and I've spent the last 8 years married to a woman who once told me I was wasting my time going to night school for my law degree. Nobody respects lawyers who couldn't get into real programs, she'd said, laughing as she poured herself another glass of wine. You're embarrassing yourself. Yeah, well, we'd see about that. The charge on the statement was dated 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks since Vanessa went to her college reunion in Philadelphia. She'd been gone for 4 days, came back glowing and distant, started working late more often, started going to the gym at odd hours, started checking her phone obsessively, always angling it away from me whenever a notification popped up. I walked to my laptop and opened it. The blue light stung my eyes, but I didn't care. I logged into our shared bank account, the one we'd set up when we got married, back when I still believed in forever. The balance made me blink. $847.23. 3 weeks ago, we'd had $32,000 in there. Our entire savings. Gone. I clicked through the transaction history. Transfers to an account I didn't recognize. Cash withdrawals at ATMs in neighborhoods we'd never visited. Restaurant charges at places we'd never been together. And that resort charge. The Oceanview. I pulled up their website, romantic getaways, couples massage packages, champagne at sunset. My hands were shaking, but not from anger. Not yet. This was something colder, something calculating. I opened Facebook. Vanessa's profile showed her tagged in dozens of photos from the reunion. There he was, in every third picture. Ryan Harper, tall, athletic, perfect teeth, arm casually draped around my wife's shoulders. Comments underneath, you two look great together, and still the perfect couple, and some things never change. Ryan Harper. I remembered that name. Vanessa had mentioned him exactly once, years ago when we first started dating. Her college boyfriend, the one who broke her heart, the one she never quite got over, according to her roommate at the time. I'd brushed it off then. Young love. Ancient history. Looking at these photos now, at the way Vanessa leaned into him, at the way her hand rested on his chest in one shot, at the way they looked at each other while everyone else looked at the camera, I understood. This wasn't ancient history. This wasn't a love story that had faded away years ago. This was an active crime scene, right in front of me. I took screenshots, saved every image, documented every comment, every like, every timestamp. I needed to make sure there was no chance of them slithering out of this. I then opened her laptop, the one she'd left on the kitchen counter when she went to bed. Her password was still my birthday. She hadn't even bothered to change it. Her email loaded. I found the confirmation for the Oceanview Resort. 2 guests. Check-in Friday evening, check-out Sunday morning. The same weekend she told me she had a work conference in Chicago. I found text messages she'd backed up through iCloud. Pages and pages of them, going back to the week before the reunion. Ryan's number wasn't saved in her phone, but the area code was Philadelphia. The messages were exactly what you'd expect. Reminiscing, flirting, planning. Then they got explicit. Then they got detailed. Meeting points, hotel rooms, lies to tell me. One message from Vanessa made me laugh out loud, a harsh sound that echoed in the otherwise quiet kitchen. He won't notice. He never does. Too busy pretending to be a lawyer. I closed the laptop. My stomach twisted. The room felt like it was closing in. 2:47 a.m. Vanessa was upstairs, asleep in our bed, probably dreaming about her perfect reunion romance. Ryan was probably back in Philadelphia, planning their next rendezvous, and I was standing in my kitchen, holding evidence of adultery and financial fraud. Most men would have woken their wives up, started screaming, thrown things, called lawyers in the morning and started ugly divorce proceedings that would drag on for months. I wasn't most men. See that night school law degree Vanessa mocked? I'd actually passed the bar exam 2 years ago. I just never practiced. I worked as a paralegal instead, boring but stable, helping actual lawyers navigate the system. I knew how divorces worked. I knew how asset division worked. I knew how the courts viewed infidelity in our state. I knew exactly what evidence would hold up and what wouldn't. More importantly, I knew how to plan. I made coffee, opened a new document on my computer, started typing. Operation Crossed Lines, Tactical Response Plan. Phase 1, Intelligence Gathering. Phase 2, Financial Countermeasures. Phase 3, Social Exposure. Phase 4, Legal Leverage Phase. 5, Final Resolution. I typed for 3 hours straight. By the time the first rays of sunlight started creeping through the kitchen windows, I had a detailed timeline, a list of assets, screenshots organized into folders, and a strategy that would make Sun Tzu proud. Vanessa came downstairs at 7:30, wearing the silk robe I'd bought her for Christmas. She smiled at me like everything was normal. "You're up early," she said, pouring herself coffee. "Couldn't sleep," I said, truthfully. "You should take something. You look exhausted," she added, flashing me a half smile. She kissed my cheek. Her perfume was the same one she'd worn the night we got married. "Yeah, maybe I will," I muttered, trying to mask the coldness that was building up inside me. She grabbed her purse, checked her phone, smiled at whatever she saw there. "I'll be late tonight. Quarterly reports due tomorrow." "Sure, no problem." She paused at the door, the moment hanging between us like a thick fog. "You okay? You seem weird." "Just tired," I said, maintaining the calm exterior. She shrugged. "Don't wait up." The door closed behind her. I listened to her car start and heard it fade down the street. The moment the engine disappeared, I opened my laptop again and got back to work. First stop, Clara Benson. My co-worker, the only person at the office I actually trusted. She worked in accounting and had access to all kinds of useful information. More importantly, she despised cheaters. Her ex-husband had run off with his secretary, leaving Clara with 2 kids and a mortgage. She understood betrayal. I called her at 9. "Alex? You sound terrible," she said, a hint of concern in her voice. "I need a favor. Off the books." "What kind of favor?" "The kind where you don't ask questions until I explain everything." Pause. "When do you want to meet?" "Lunch. Somewhere not near the office." We met at a diner across town. I showed her everything. The statements, the photos, the messages. Watched her face go from confused to angry, then to coldly determined. "That absolute piece of garbage," Clara said, her voice filled with venom. "What do you need?" "Information. Vanessa's been moving money. I need to know where it went, who has access, what accounts exist that I don't know about." "That might take a few days." "Take a week, take 2. I'm not in a rush." I leaned back in my seat, feeling the rush of control flood through me. "This isn't about anger, Clara. This is about precision." She studied me for a moment, then gave a slow nod. "You're scary when you're calm." "Yeah, I know." For the next 2 weeks, I became a ghost in my own life. I went to work, came home, made dinner, watched TV with Vanessa, had conversations about nothing, made love to her twice, mechanical and empty, because refusing would have raised suspicion. Every moment felt like acting in a play where I was the only one who knew the script, but beneath the surface, I was hunting. I followed Vanessa on 3 separate occasions, watched her meet Ryan at a coffee shop downtown, watched them laugh and touch hands across the table, watched her lie to me on the phone, saying she was stuck in traffic when she was actually in Ryan's car, parked behind an office building, doing things I refused to imagine too clearly. I documented everything. Photos with timestamps. GPS data from the tracking app I'd installed on her phone while she showered. Video from the parking lot security camera I'd quietly bribed a guard to let me access. License plate of Ryan's car, model and make. Registration information pulled from a database I definitely wasn't supposed to access, but my paralegal credentials opened doors. Ryan Harper, age 36, investment banker at Palmer & Finch in Philadelphia, divorced 2 years ago, no kids, drove a BMW 5 Series, lived in a condo downtown worth about $500,000, made decent money, probably around $200,000 a year, arrogant as hell based on his social media presence. Lots of gym photos, lots of photos with women who weren't Vanessa. Perfect. Clara came through with the financial information. Vanessa had opened a secret account at a different bank, transferring money in small increments over 6 months. Started right after the reunion invitation arrived. She'd been planning this for half a year. The account currently held $27,000, not just our savings. She'd cashed out bonds we'd bought together, sold some stock. She'd cleaned us out. The rage came then, hot and electric. I was sitting in my car outside a grocery store when Clara texted me the account details. I had to grip the steering wheel until my knuckles went white. Had to breathe slowly until the red faded from my vision. Then I called my buddy Jake, who worked at the bank where Vanessa and I had our joint accounts. Jake, need a favor. Alex? Man, I haven't heard from you in forever. Yeah, listen, I need to freeze some accounts, joint accounts, mine and Vanessa's. Freeze? Why? Divorce. She's been moving money. I need to lock everything down. Silence. Jake and I had been friends since college. He knew Vanessa, had been to our wedding. Jesus, I'm sorry, man. Don't be sorry, just help me. I can flag the accounts for review. It'll take about 48 hours to fully freeze them, but I can prevent any large withdrawals immediately. Do it. You sure about this? Never been more sure of anything. 2 days later, Vanessa tried to withdraw $5,000. The transaction was denied. She tried again. Denied. She called me at work, her voice tight with barely controlled panic. Alex, something's wrong with the accounts. Wrong how? I can't access them. The bank says they're frozen. Frozen? Why would they be frozen? I don't know. They said something about suspicious activity. Huh, that's weird. Want me to call them? Yes, please, I need to pay some bills. Sure, I'll handle it. I didn't call anyone. I went home that night and made dinner like nothing was wrong. Vanessa was on her phone constantly, texting furiously. Probably Ryan. Probably freaking out about their travel plans. She tried to hide it, but I saw the fear in her eyes, the first crack in the foundation. Good. That weekend, Vanessa said she had to visit her mother upstate. Emergency. Her mom had fallen, needed help around the house. Want me to come? I asked. No, you've got work. I'll be fine. You sure? Yeah, it's just for the weekend. I watched her pack, watched her check her phone, watched her lie to my face without blinking. Drive safe, I said. I will. Love you. Love you too. The words felt like ashes. After she left, I checked the GPS tracker. She wasn't driving upstate. She was heading south, toward the airport. I grabbed my own bag, already packed, and followed at a distance. She met Ryan in the parking garage. They kissed like teenagers, all hands and desperate energy. Then they walked into the terminal together, pulling matching luggage. I stayed back, watched them check in at the Delta counter, listened as they laughed about something, Ryan's hand on the small of Vanessa's back. Then I walked to the United counter and booked a ticket on a flight leaving 10 minutes before theirs. Same destination, Miami. The woman at the counter noticed my expression. You okay, sir? Perfect, I said. Absolutely perfect. On the plane, I texted Clara. Phase 2 initiated. Things are about to get interesting. She replied immediately, "Give them hell." I smiled and put my phone on airplane mode. Below us, somewhere in that airport, Vanessa and Ryan were boarding their own flight, thinking they'd gotten away clean, thinking they'd won. They had no idea the game had only just started, and I had every move planned out 3 steps ahead. Miami hit like a wet towel to the face. Humidity, heat, the smell of the ocean, and jet fuel. I walked through the terminal, keeping my distance, watching Vanessa and Ryan collect their bags at the carousel. They looked happy, relaxed, his arm around her waist, her head on his shoulder. The sight made my stomach churn, but I kept my composure. I was no longer the betrayed husband. I was a strategist, a planner, and I was in the middle of orchestrating their downfall. I wanted to walk over and introduce myself properly, wanted to see the color drain from their faces. But that wasn't the plan. The plan required patience, required precision. They took an Uber. I took a cab, told the driver to follow but stay back. We drove to a hotel on South Beach, one of those places with palm trees, valet parking, and oceanfront views that cost $400 a night. I watched them check in through the lobby windows, watched the clerk hand them key cards with a smile, watched them disappear into an elevator, laughing about something, probably some inside joke I'd never be part of. I checked into a Holiday Inn 3 blocks away, cheaper, quieter, anonymous, the kind of place where you blend in, where no one notices you, exactly how I liked it. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the balcony with my laptop and a bottle of whiskey, putting the final touches on Phase 2. Clara had sent me everything I needed: account numbers, routing information, passwords to email accounts, social security numbers, everything. The digital skeleton key to Vanessa's entire financial life. At midnight, I started moving. First, I changed the password to the secret account she'd set up, the one with our stolen savings. I changed the security questions, changed the recovery email, locked her out completely. Second, I filed a fraud report with our joint credit cards, told them someone had been making unauthorized charges, the resort, the restaurants, the flights. They suspended the cards immediately, flagged them for investigation. Vanessa would find out when she tried to pay for breakfast, and I couldn't wait for the panic to set in. Third, I called our insurance company and removed Vanessa as a beneficiary on my life insurance policy. Changed it to my sister instead. It was a small thing, but it sent a message. Every detail mattered. Fourth, I logged into Vanessa's work email, thanks to the password Clara had pulled from the company database. I read through her recent messages, found correspondence about a promotion she'd been angling for, found emails where she'd been subtly undermining a coworker to make herself look better. I forwarded those to Clara, who knew exactly what to do with them. By 3 a.m., I'd dismantled 6 months of careful planning on Vanessa's part. By 4, I was drunk enough to sleep, but I wasn't satisfied yet. This was only the beginning. I woke up at 7 to my phone buzzing. Text from an unknown number. Account access denied. Call customer service immediately. That would be Vanessa, I thought, trying to use her secret account and discovering it was gone. I smiled and ordered room service. At 9, I walked to their hotel, sat in the lobby bar, ordered coffee, and watched the elevator. 20 minutes later, they came down. Vanessa looked stressed, pale. Ryan kept trying to reassure her about something. They went to the front desk. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I saw the clerk's apologetic expression. Saw Vanessa's face go red. Saw Ryan pull out his wallet, hand over a different card. Good. Let him pay for it. Let him feel the weight of the situation. Let him experience the consequences of their choices. They left the hotel around 10, walking toward the beach. I followed at a distance, baseball cap pulled low, sunglasses on, tourist camouflage. They sat at a beachside bar, ordered drinks. Vanessa was on her phone constantly, growing more agitated by the minute. I found a spot 30 feet away, ordered a beer I didn't drink, and watched. Vanessa made a call. I couldn't hear her words, but her body language screamed panic. She gestured angrily. Ryan tried to calm her down. She shook her head, stood up, and walked away from the table. Ryan looked uncomfortable, kept checking his own phone, probably worried about his credit card getting hit with a massive hotel bill. He had no idea this was just the tip of the iceberg. I finished my beer and left before they noticed me. I didn't need to be seen, not yet. The panic had set in, and it was all I needed for now. That afternoon, I decided to escalate. I'd been to the gym in Philadelphia once, following Ryan during one of my reconnaissance trips. Fancy place, all chrome and glass. The kind where investment bankers went to flex and network. I knew his routine. He went around 6 p.m., stayed for 90 minutes, hit the showers, left around 8. But Ryan wasn't in Philadelphia. He was here in Miami, playing house with my wife. So I went to his gym anyway. I walked in wearing workout clothes, paid for a day pass, found the locker room. Ryan's locker was easy to spot. Combination lock, worn from use, number 237. His lucky number, according to his Instagram bio, where he posted gym selfies with captions like, 237 push-ups today, sure grind set. Subtle. I didn't break into his locker. I didn't need to. I just needed to send a message. I found a gym employee, a kid who looked maybe 19, slipped him $40. See that locker, number 237? Owner's name is Ryan Harper. Do me a favor. Leave a note inside. Tell him someone's been watching. The kid looked nervous. That's kinda creepy, man. It's a prank. We're old friends. He'll think it's hilarious. Another 20 made the kid nod. He took the note I'd written. I know what you did. I know where you've been. I know who you're with. Simple. Unsigned. Effective. Ryan would come home from Miami, open his locker, find that note, and completely lose his mind. I left the gym feeling lighter, satisfied. A small move, but the kind that made me feel in control. Back in Miami, I spent the evening watching their hotel from a coffee shop across the street. Around 9 p.m., Ryan came out alone, walked down to a liquor store, bought a bottle of something expensive, walked back to the hotel. I followed him. When he turned down a side street, darker and quieter, I closed the distance, stepped out of the shadows right as he reached for the hotel entrance. Ryan Harper? He turned, startled. What? Up close, he was exactly what I expected. Tall, confident, expensive watch, cologne that probably cost more than my car payment. The kind of guy who'd never been punched in his life. Nice night, I said, my tone neutral, calm. Do I know you? He asked, frowning. Not yet, but you will. His expression shifted from confused to wary. Look, buddy, I don't know what... I stepped closer, not threatening, just close enough to make him uncomfortable. I know what you've been doing, who you've been doing it with, and I want you to know that it's all going to come crashing down. What the hell are you talking about? You'll figure it out. I walked away before he could respond. Heard him call out something behind me, but I didn't turn around, just kept walking, hands in my pockets, whistling something tuneless. Let him wonder. Let him panic. The next morning, I flew back home. Vanessa and Ryan stayed in Miami for 2 more days, but their romantic getaway was effectively ruined. I knew because I'd hacked into Vanessa's email and read the increasingly frantic messages she sent to Ryan, the frozen accounts, the weird note in his gym locker, the strange man who'd confronted him outside the hotel. She was starting to suspect something was wrong. Good. The seed of fear had been planted, and it was growing. Back home, I went to work like normal. Clara met me for coffee during lunch break. You look satisfied with yourself, she said. I am. What did you do? I told her. She laughed so hard she choked on her latte. You're insane, she said. Maybe, but it's working. What's next? Next, I wait for them to come home, and then things get really interesting. Clara slid a folder across the table. Before you do anything else, you need to see this. I opened it. Inside were bank statements for Ryan's accounts. Clara had connections everywhere, apparently. His finances were a mess. Maxed out credit cards, a second mortgage on his condo, 2 car payments, alimony to his ex-wife. The guy was leveraged to hell and back. Investment bankers are supposed to be good with money, I said, glancing at the documents. Most people are hypocrites, Clara replied. He's living way beyond his means. One more big expense and he'll be drowning. Perfect. That night, Vanessa came home. She looked exhausted, stressed. She didn't say much, just showered and went to bed early. I stayed up, planning. The next phase required me to be more direct, riskier, but also more satisfying. I started by calling a private investigator, a guy I knew from the law office. Name was Dennis. Former cop, now did contract work for lawyers who needed leverage in divorce cases. I need surveillance, I told him. Full package, photos, videos, the works. On who? My wife and her boyfriend. Ah, sorry, man. Don't be. Just get me evidence that'll hold up in court. Dennis was expensive, but worth it. Over the next week, he followed Vanessa and Ryan everywhere. Coffee shops, hotels, Ryan's apartment when he came to visit from Philadelphia, parking lots, restaurants. He documented everything with the kind of detail that would make a judge wince. The photos were brutal, explicit, undeniable. I stored them in a secure cloud folder with multiple backups. Meanwhile, I started preparing the legal side. Filed a motion with the county court to divide assets. Filed for a restraining order against Vanessa, citing financial abuse and fraud. Filed paperwork to protect my retirement accounts and pension. I did all of this quietly, professionally, without telling Vanessa a single thing. She had no idea the walls were closing in. The confrontation came 2 weeks later. I'd been tracking Ryan's movements through the GPS on Vanessa's phone. He was in town again, parked outside a bar downtown. I drove there, parked a few spaces away, and waited. He came out around 10, drunk, laughing at something on his phone. I stepped out of my car. Ryan. He froze. Took a second to place my face. When recognition hit, he went pale. You. Yeah, me. What do you want? I want you to understand something, I said, walking closer. You think you're clever. You think you're getting away with something. But you're not. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. And so does she. He tried to walk past me. I stepped into his path. Not blocking, just present. He stopped. Move, he said. In a minute. First, I need you to deliver a message to Vanessa. I'm not delivering anything. Tell her, I said, voice cold and even, that I know everything. Tell her that her accounts are mine now. Tell her that her job is about to get very uncomfortable. Tell her that every single thing she thought she was building with you is already gone. Ryan stared at me. You're insane. Maybe, but I'm also right. Then I slapped him. Not hard, just enough to sting, enough to shock him, enough to make the point. Next time, I said, I won't just warn you. I walked back to my car, got in, drove away. In the rearview mirror, I saw Ryan standing there, hand on his cheek, staring after me. Perfect. That night, Vanessa came home late. She was crying. Alex, we need to talk. About what? About us. About everything. Okay, talk. I think we should separate for a while. Give each other space. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I'd married, the woman I'd loved, the woman who drained our savings and lied to my face for months. Sure, I said, if that's what you want. She seemed surprised. You're not going to fight me on this? Would it matter? She didn't answer. I'll sleep in the guest room, I said. We can figure out the details later. She nodded, relieved, and went upstairs. I stayed on the couch, staring at the ceiling, waiting for Phase 3 to begin. The tracking app on Vanessa's phone showed me everything I needed to know. She was planning another trip. Miami again. A full week this time, leaving Friday morning, returning the following Friday. Same hotel, same lies. Nothing had changed. She told me it was a training conference in Denver. For work? I asked, casually pouring myself a cup of coffee in the kitchen. Yeah, leadership development thing. Mandatory. That's a long time, I said, eyes narrowing just slightly as I sipped. I know, but it's important for the promotion, she replied, her tone confident, almost rehearsed. The promotion she'd already lost. Thanks to the emails Clara had strategically leaked to HR. But Vanessa didn't know that yet. HR was taking their time, building a case against her. They wanted to fire her properly, without giving her a chance to escape responsibility. Sounds good, I said, my voice flat, masking the storm of thoughts running through my head. I'll miss you. She leaned in and kissed my cheek. I'll miss you too. Liar. I didn't respond. I just watched her walk out the door, her back straight, the weight of her lies hanging in the air. It had been too easy for her to turn our life into a game of deceit, but I wasn't playing by her rules anymore. I booked a ticket for the same flight, different row, different section, but the same plane. I wasn't following her anymore. I was intercepting her. Friday morning came, and Vanessa left early. She told me she'd parked at the airport to avoid rush hour traffic. I knew Ryan was meeting her there. I knew they'd check in together. I knew their routine. What they didn't know was that I'd already called the airline. See, here's the thing about airports. They take threats seriously, even vague ones, especially when someone calls and says they overheard two passengers talking about smuggling something suspicious. I didn't specify what. Didn't need to. I just said I was concerned, gave them the flight number, gave them the descriptions, let security do the rest. I arrived at the airport 3 hours before the flight. I grabbed coffee, sat near their gate, and waited. Watched. Ryan arrived first, expensive suit, carry-on luggage, phone pressed to his ear. He looked nervous. Good. I was hoping he'd be. He was already on edge, and it only got worse from there. Vanessa showed up 20 minutes later. She looked around, spotted Ryan, and they hugged. He kissed her on the cheek. They sat down together near the windows, talking quietly, holding hands. I watched from behind a newspaper, my eyes tracking their every move, each subtle glance, each little exchange of whispers. They didn't even know they were being watched. At 90 minutes before departure, 2 TSA agents approached them. I couldn't hear what they said, but I saw Vanessa's face go white. I watched Ryan stand up, his hands out, trying to explain something. They were being pulled aside. Their bags were searched, thoroughly. Nothing illegal was found, of course, but the process took 45 minutes. By the time they were cleared, boarding had started. They were rattled, angry. I boarded first, settled into my seat, and watched them walk past, neither of them glancing my way. The flight was smooth. I spent it reviewing documents on my tablet, divorce paperwork, asset inventories, photos from Dennis the PI, everything organized, everything ready. We landed in Miami. I let them leave first, hung back, and followed at a distance through the terminal. They went straight to baggage claim. I went straight to the rental car counter. I need something fast, I told the clerk, and reliable. She set me up with a Camaro. Black. Perfect. I drove to their hotel and parked across the street, watching them check in. Watched them head upstairs. Then I called the hotel. Hi, yes, I'm calling about a reservation. Ryan Harper, room 512. I'm his brother. He said if there were any issues with the booking, to call this number. Can you confirm everything's set? I asked, keeping my voice calm and friendly, masking the urgency beneath. The desk clerk hesitated. I'm sorry, sir. I can't disclose guest information. Right. No, of course. I just want to make sure the charges are going to his card and not mine. We had a mix-up last time. She sighed. Let me check. Yes, all charges are assigned to the card on file. You should be fine. Perfect. Thanks. Room 512. 5th floor, Oceanview. That night, I waited until they left for dinner. Then I walked into the hotel like I belonged there. Took the elevator to the 5th floor, found room 512. I didn't break in. I didn't need to. I just needed them to know I was there. I left a note under the door. Enjoying the view? That was it. 3 words, unsigned. Then I went back to my rental car and waited. They came back around 10. I watched them through binoculars from the parking garage across the street. Saw Ryan find the note. Saw him show it to Vanessa. Saw her freak out. They called hotel security. Security checked the hallway cameras, but I'd been careful. Baseball cap, sunglasses, face angled down. Nothing. They spent the next hour arguing. I could see their silhouettes through the curtains, Vanessa pacing, Ryan gesturing angrily. Perfect. The next day, I escalated again. I followed them to the beach, watched them try to relax, to pretend everything was fine. But Vanessa kept looking over her shoulder. Ryan kept checking his phone. Paranoia was setting in. The tension between them was palpable. Around noon, I decided to make my presence known. I walked past them on the beach, close enough to be noticed but not close enough to be confronted. I wore the same outfit from the hotel hallway, the same casual, inconspicuous look. I made sure they saw me. Vanessa noticed first. I saw her grab Ryan's arm, saw her point, saw both of them stare at me, the shock and confusion settling in. I kept walking, didn't look back. That afternoon they packed up and left the beach early, went back to the hotel. I knew they were panicking, trying to figure out what to do. At 4 p.m., Vanessa tried to book an earlier flight home. I knew because I was monitoring her email, but everything was sold out. They were stuck in Miami until Friday. Their plans had fallen apart. I spent the evening at a bar near their hotel. Around 8, Ryan came in alone, ordered whiskey. He drank fast, taking the glass to his lips in quick, agitated swigs. I sat 3 stools away, let him drink, let him stew in the mess he'd created. After his 3rd glass, he noticed me. "You," he slurred, eyes narrowing. "You're following us." "Am I?" I asked, looking at him without flinching. "You're insane. Vanessa told me about you. Said you were a loser. Said you'd never amount to anything." "Sounds like her," I said, nonchalantly. "She's going to leave you. You know that, right? She's already done with you." "Yeah, I figured." He blinked, confused. "Then why are you doing this?" "Because," I said, standing up and dropping cash on the bar, "she doesn't get to walk away clean. Neither do you." "What the hell is that supposed to mean?" He leaned forward, almost challenging me. "You'll see," I said, turning and walking away. I left him there, drunk and confused, a look of frustration and anger spreading across his face. The next morning, I executed the most important part of Phase 3. I'd been saving Vanessa's most explicit text messages, the ones with photos, the ones with detailed plans, the ones that left no doubt about what they were doing. I sent them to 3 people: Vanessa's boss, Ryan's boss, and Ryan's ex-wife. Used a burner email, untraceable, professional, no commentary, just the evidence. Let them draw their own conclusions. Ryan's ex-wife responded first, a single word: "Finally." Ryan's boss didn't respond, but I knew he got the message. Investment banks don't like scandals. They don't like employees who create liabilities. Vanessa's boss forwarded the email to HR. Within an hour, Vanessa got a call requesting she come in for a meeting on Monday. I knew because I was still reading her emails. She told Ryan about it that night. They were in their hotel room. I couldn't hear their conversation, but I watched through the window from the building next door, using a zoom lens on Dennis's camera that I'd borrowed. Vanessa was crying. Ryan was pacing. They were falling apart, and I hadn't even started yet. On Thursday, I made the final move of Phase 3. I'd been monitoring Ryan's work email, thanks to a phishing attack I'd launched days earlier. Nothing sophisticated, just a fake password reset link that he clicked like an idiot. His inbox was a goldmine. Emails about questionable investments, emails about skirting regulations. Nothing illegal exactly, but definitely unethical. The kind of thing that would get him fired if the right people saw it. I forwarded everything to the SEC's anonymous tip line. Then I forwarded it to 3 major financial news outlets. Let them sort it out. That night, Vanessa and Ryan tried to leave Miami early. They managed to get standby tickets, but at the airport, security flagged them again. This time, it wasn't for a suspicious threat. No, this time, Ryan's name had been added to a watch list after the SEC tip. Nothing serious, just enough to delay them. By the time they got through, they'd missed their flight. They were stuck until Friday morning. I watched them from across the terminal, watched them argue, watched Ryan throw his phone, watched Vanessa cry. Then I walked over. "Bad day?" I said, a casual smirk playing on my lips. They both froze. Vanessa spoke first. "Alex, what are you doing here?" "Same thing you are. Flying." Ryan stepped forward, his face red with anger. "You need to leave. Now." "Or what? You'll call security?" "Go ahead. I'm sure they'd love to hear about why you keep getting flagged." His face turned an ugly shade of crimson. "You did this. You're sabotaging us." "Am I? Prove it." Vanessa grabbed my arm, her fingers trembling. "Please, just leave us alone." I looked down at her hand on my sleeve, looked at her face, saw the fear there. Real fear. "No," I said quietly. "You don't get to ask me for anything. Not after what you did." "I didn't mean... You drained our accounts. You lied to me for months. You destroyed 8 years like it meant nothing." My voice was calm, but ice cold. "So no, Vanessa. I'm not leaving you alone. Not until you've lost everything I lost." Ryan tried to grab me. I stepped back, hands raised. "Touch me, and I'll press charges. We're in an airport, Ryan. Cameras everywhere. Think carefully." He stopped, fists clenched, chest heaving as he breathed hard. "This isn't over," he said, low and menacing. "You're right. It's not." I walked away, leaving them standing there, vulnerable, defeated. I didn't look back. I flew home that night on a late flight. Vanessa and Ryan stayed in Miami another day, too rattled to do anything else. But I was done with Miami. Phase 3 was complete. Now came the hard part. Monday morning I walked into the courthouse at 8 a.m., a briefcase full of evidence in hand. It wasn't just a divorce petition. It was a weapon, meticulously crafted to ensure Vanessa felt every consequence of her actions. Photos, bank statements, text messages, everything was organized chronologically, everything documented properly. It was a meticulous record of her betrayal. It was a life-sized blueprint of her destruction, and I was about to lay it all out in front of the court. The clerk, a young woman, glanced at the paperwork and whistled low. "This is thorough," she said. "I'm a paralegal," I replied, my voice steady but carrying the weight of everything I'd endured. She smiled, recognizing the quiet confidence in my words. "Lucky you." "Yeah, lucky me." I could already feel the satisfaction building in the pit of my stomach. I filed for a fault-based divorce, citing adultery. In our state, that mattered. It wasn't just a technicality, it was leverage. It meant Vanessa couldn't claim an equal division of assets. It meant that I could control the narrative. I also filed an emergency motion to freeze all remaining accounts, to secure the house, and to prevent her from selling or destroying property. Every detail had been meticulously calculated. There would be no room for escape. My lawyer, Patricia, an older woman who specialized in contested divorces, went over the paperwork and smiled. She didn't just read through it, she absorbed it, savoring the meticulous nature of the case. "This is beautiful," she said, flipping through the evidence with appreciation. "You've done my job for me." "I want her to get nothing," I replied coldly. already anticipating the destruction. That's not realistic, but we can make sure she gets a lot less than she wants. She leaned back, hands folded in front of her, clearly calculating her next steps. Good enough, I said. That afternoon, the first part of my plan fell into place. Vanessa was fired. HR had completed their investigation. The emails she'd sent, undermining her coworker, combined with the evidence of her affair, had given them more than enough grounds for termination. The official reasons cited: workplace conduct violations, professional ethics breaches. She called me in tears later that day. Alex, they fired me. They said I violated company policy. Her voice was trembling with panic. That's terrible, I said, feigning sympathy. You don't understand. I need this job. I need the insurance. Maybe you should have thought about that before, I interrupted coldly. Silence. Then, quiet, venomous. You did this. Did I? I asked, almost amused. You destroyed your own life. You're destroying my life, she spat back. No, Vanessa. I'm just letting you experience the consequences of your choices. She hung up. I sat there, feeling nothing. There was no satisfaction in her tears, no joy in her pain. But I wasn't done yet. This was only the beginning. That night, Vanessa came home to pack. I was sitting in the living room with Patricia and a police officer I'd requested as a witness. Legal, proper, by the book. Vanessa froze when she saw them. What is this? Her voice cracked with disbelief. You have 30 minutes to collect your personal items, Patricia said, unfazed. Clothing, toiletries, personal electronics, nothing else. You can't kick me out of my own house, Vanessa protested, her voice growing more frantic by the second. Patricia handed her the court order. Actually, we can. The house is in Alex's name only. You have no legal claim to it, and given the circumstances, the judge agreed you should vacate immediately. Vanessa read the document, her hands shaking with fear. Alex, please, don't do this. 30 minutes, I repeated, my tone firm but calm. She went upstairs. I could hear her throwing things around, crying, slamming drawers, her sobs carrying through the house. It didn't affect me. Not anymore. 28 minutes later, she came downstairs, 2 suitcases in tow. Her makeup was smeared, her eyes red and swollen. Where am I supposed to go? She asked, her voice hollow, pleading. Not my problem, I said, emotionless. I hate you, she spat, her words barely audible. Yeah, I know. She left, the officer following her out to ensure she actually went. Patricia packed up her briefcase, preparing to leave. That was harsh, she said, a note of concern in her voice. She deserves harsh, I replied coldly. Maybe, but be careful. Angry spouses do stupid things. Let her try. Patricia left, and I sat in the empty house. The silence enveloped me like a suffocating blanket. I felt hollow, empty, but I also felt something else. Satisfaction? Maybe. It was hard to say. I was finally in control. Phase 1 was complete. The next day, Ryan showed up at my office. He had driven 3 hours from Philadelphia. He looked like hell, unshaven, clothes wrinkled, his eyes bloodshot from stress and lack of sleep. My security called me. There's a Ryan Harper here to see you. Tell him I'm busy, I replied without hesitation. He says it's important. Still busy. 10 minutes later, I spotted him outside the building, waiting. I saw his figure through the window, pacing back and forth. I walked down to meet him. What do you want? I asked, my voice calm, controlled. I want you to stop, he said, stepping closer, his fists clenched in anger. Stop what? Whatever you're doing, the emails, the calls to my work, the SEC thing, all of it. I don't know what you're talking about, I said, feigning confusion. Bullshit. You've been ruining my life. Have I? Or have you been ruining your own life by sleeping with someone else's wife? I shot back. He stepped closer, his anger flaring. I'm warning you. Warning me? I raised an eyebrow. What are you going to do, Ryan? Hit me? Go ahead. I've got a dozen witnesses right here. I gestured toward the street. You'll be arrested. Charged with assault. Good luck explaining that to your next employer. You're insane, he muttered. So people keep saying, I replied, matching his intensity. Without warning, he grabbed my collar, pulling me toward him. Mistake. I didn't fight back. I didn't need to. I just stood there, letting him make the mistake, letting people notice, letting them pull out their phones. Someone yelled, "Hey, let him go!" Ryan froze. Realizing what he'd done, he released me and stepped back. Assault, I said calmly. Thanks for that. I walked back inside without looking back, my steps measured, deliberate. I called the police, filed a report, and made sure to note the witnesses. Ryan was gone by the time the cops arrived, but it didn't matter. The report was filed, and it was another piece of ammunition I could use. The week that followed was a cascade of failures for Ryan. His boss called him in on Wednesday. The SEC tip had triggered an internal investigation, and they'd found enough irregularities to fire him. Not enough for prosecution, but enough to ruin him professionally. Ryan's ex-wife filed for an increase in alimony, citing that he'd been hiding assets. The court agreed to review his finances. Ryan's condo went into foreclosure. He couldn't afford to pay the mortgage without his salary. His life was collapsing. Meanwhile, Vanessa wasn't doing much better. She'd moved in with her mother trying to file for unemployment, but was denied because she had been fired for cause. She tried to access our secret account, locked. She tried to open a new credit card, denied. Her credit score had plummeted, thanks to the fraud reports I'd filed with the bank. She called me twice a day. I let each call go to voicemail. I listened to her messages when I had time, one after another. Alex, please, I need money, I need help. Alex, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Can we talk? Alex, you're killing me. I have nothing. Please. I deleted each one without responding. Clara asked me how I felt about everything. We were having lunch at the same diner where this whole thing started. I don't feel anything, I admitted, staring into my coffee cup. That's the weird part. I thought I'd feel satisfied, but it's just empty. Maybe that means you should stop. I can't stop. Not yet. Why not? Because it's not finished. She studied me, concern written on her face. What else are you planning? You don't want to know. Alex, don't do anything stupid. Define stupid. Anything illegal, anything violent, anything that puts you in jail. I'm not going to jail. Promise me. I promise. I meant it. I wasn't going to cross that line, but I was going to get as close as possible. The following week, Ryan came back to town. I knew because Vanessa posted about it on Facebook, a desperate plea for support, asking friends to help her through this difficult time. The comments were brutal. Half of her friends had seen the evidence I'd leaked. The other half had heard the gossip. No one was sympathetic. Ryan picked her up at her mother's house. They drove to a cheap motel on the edge of town, hourly rates, a place where no one asked questions. I followed them, parked across the street, watched them check in. Around midnight, I slashed Ryan's tires, all 4 of them, quietly, swiftly. Then I left. I was home in bed when Ryan discovered it the next morning. I know because Vanessa posted about it. Can't believe someone vandalized Ryan's car. Who does that? I commented, That's terrible. Did you call the police? She didn't respond. The police came, filed a report, no leads, no witnesses, nothing. Ryan had to pay for new tires. He couldn't afford it, had to put it on a credit card that was already maxed out. Another crack in the foundation. The following Monday, Vanessa tried one more time to negotiate. She showed up at my office with Patricia. They'd scheduled a mediation session, a chance to settle things before it went to court. I sat across from her in the conference room, Patricia beside me. Vanessa's lawyer, A nervous young guy sat next to her. "Alex," Vanessa said, her voice trembling. "I know you're angry, but we can work this out. We don't have to destroy each other." "You destroyed us first," I replied. "It was a mistake. I was confused. I didn't mean to hurt you. You took $32,000 from our account. You lied for 6 months. You mocked me. You humiliated me. And now you want to work things out? I'll pay you back. I'll get a job. I'll make it right." "With what? You're unemployed. Broke. Your boyfriend's broke. You have nothing." Her lawyer cleared his throat. "My client is willing to accept a minimal settlement, $10,000. She'll sign away all claims to the house, the retirement accounts, everything else." Patricia laughed. "She has no claims anyway. The evidence of adultery is overwhelming. She'll be lucky to get $5,000. Vanessa started crying. Real tears this time. Desperate. "Alex, please, I have nothing. My mom's house is tiny. I can't stay there forever. I need something to start over." I looked at her, remembered the woman I married, remembered the good times before everything fell apart. Then I remembered the text message. "He won't notice. He never does. Too busy pretending to be a lawyer." "No," I said. "Alex, no, you get nothing. Take it to trial if you want. I'll win. You know I'll win." Her lawyer tried to argue. Patricia shut him down with case law and precedent. The meeting ended with nothing resolved. Vanessa left crying. Her lawyer looked defeated. Patricia turned to me. "You're really going to give her nothing?" "Not nothing. She'll get whatever the judge orders. But I'm not negotiating. This is going to get ugly. It's already ugly." That night, someone threw a brick through my living room window. A note attached. "Stop." I called the police, filed another report, had security cameras installed the next day. 2 days later, Ryan showed up at my gym. My actual gym, not his fancy one in Philadelphia. I was on the treadmill when I saw him. He looked wild, unshaved, eyes red. He walked straight toward me. I stopped the treadmill, stepped off, met him halfway. "You need to leave," I said. "Not until you fix this." "Fix what?" "Everything. My job, my life, Vanessa's life, all of it." "I didn't ruin your life, Ryan. You did that yourself. You manipulated everything. You sabotaged us. I documented facts, that's all." He swung at me, missed. I stepped back. Security grabbed him before he could try again, dragged him out, banned him from the gym. I filed another police report. The walls were closing in on both of them, and I was just getting started with Phase 5. The trial was scheduled for 3 weeks out. 3 weeks. In any other circumstance, that would have been plenty of time. But not now. Not for me. I'd waited long enough. Vanessa had betrayed me, humiliated me, and ripped apart everything I'd worked for. Patricia, my lawyer, was confident. She had evidence that would bury Vanessa in front of any judge. The truth was on our side, and there was no way Vanessa could escape the consequences. But I didn't want to wait 3 weeks. I needed closure. I needed to finish this now. For weeks, I'd been tracking Ryan's movements. I'd been following him through social media, monitoring every post Vanessa made. They were staying at the motel, barely scraping by. Ryan had no job, and Vanessa was sending out applications left and right, but no one was hiring. They were both trapped. I could smell their desperation, their sense of impending doom, and it was intoxicating. I decided to accelerate the end game. First move, I called the motel. I wasn't surprised when the manager answered without hesitation. I'd done my homework. I had all the right information. "Hi, I'm calling about guests in room 14. Ryan Harper and Vanessa Mercer. Are they current on their bill?" "Who's asking?" The manager's voice sounded scratchy, like he'd been on the phone too long. "I'm Vanessa's brother. She asked me to help with some expenses," I lied smoothly. There was a long pause, probably while he checked the records. "They're 2 weeks behind. I'm about to evict them." "Don't. I'll cover it," I said, already reaching for my phone to wire the money. "How much?" 800. I'll wire it today, but I need you to do something for me. What's that? Tell them the payment came from an anonymous source. Don't mention me. Why? He asked suspiciously. It's a surprise. Family thing. After a brief hesitation, he agreed. I sent the money, kept them in the motel, kept them comfortable. I wanted them to think they still had a chance, that they could still pull it together. Second move, I created a fake job offer. A well-crafted lie. I used an LLC I'd set up months ago, specifically for this purpose, the perfect bait. I sent Ryan an email about a financial consulting position in Charlotte. It was remote, 6-figure salary. I made it sound legitimate. The timing was perfect. Ryan took the bait immediately. He responded within an hour. Sent me his resume. Asked about the next steps. He was already convinced. I scheduled a phone interview for the following Monday. I needed him to think he had a future. Third move, I contacted Vanessa's mother, an older woman, traditional, religious, the kind of woman who believed in marriage and family above all else, the kind of woman who would never forgive betrayal. Mrs. Patterson, this is Alex. I don't want to talk to you, she said, her voice clipped and defensive. I understand. But I need you to know something. Vanessa didn't just have an affair. She stole from me. $32,000. That's criminal. My daughter wouldn't. I have bank statements. Evidence. If you don't believe me, ask her. There was a long, uncomfortable silence on the other end. I'm not trying to hurt her. I just want you to know the truth. I hung up before she could respond. 3 hours later, Vanessa called me. She was hysterical. Her voice cracked with panic. What did you say to my mother? The truth. She kicked me out. She said I'm a thief and a liar and doesn't want me in her house anymore. Sounds like she knows you pretty well, I said coldly. Where am I supposed to go? She asked, the desperation creeping into her voice. Not my problem, I said flatly, hanging up. I sat there, feeling nothing. It was just another piece of the plan falling into place. No guilt, no remorse, just a strange sense of control. Fourth move, I scheduled the phone interview with Ryan for Monday at 2 p.m. I had Clara make the call using a voice modulator app, a perfect imitation of a corporate recruiter's voice. I didn't need Ryan to know it wasn't real. I needed him to believe it was. Clara asked him standard questions. Ryan answered enthusiastically, still naive, still hopeful. At the end, Clara threw the curveball. Ryan, I need to ask you something. We do background checks on all candidates. Is there anything in your recent employment history we should know about? No, everything's clean, he replied without hesitation. Clara paused, her voice taking on a more serious tone. No issues at Palmer and Finch? Long pause. How do you know about that? Ryan asked, suddenly defensive. It came up in our research. Can you explain the circumstances of your departure? Clara asked, her tone casual, like she was just doing her job. Ryan stumbled over his words, trying to explain. He made excuses, said it wasn't his fault. Clara let him talk for a while. Then, when he was finished, she delivered the final blow. I see. Well, we'll be in touch. Ryan was left hanging. He had no idea that there was no job, no opportunity, just another false hope, another cruel twist of fate. Meanwhile, I executed the final pieces of my plan. I contacted Ryan's landlord at his Philadelphia condo. I explained that Ryan had abandoned the property. I gave them his current address at the motel and asked if they needed help securing the property. They thanked me and began formal eviction proceedings. I contacted Ryan's ex-wife's lawyer. I provided them with all the evidence of the money Ryan had spent on Vanessa. Hotel stays, gifts, trips, everything that could be linked to his current financial instability. The lawyer filed an emergency motion to freeze Ryan's remaining assets. I contacted the SEC again, providing them with additional information about Ryan's questionable trades. The wheels of bureaucracy turned quickly. Ryan's problems were multiplying, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. Everything was falling apart for him, slowly, methodically, systematically. And Vanessa was sinking right along with him. The Monday before the trial, I invited them both to meet me. I sent separate texts. To Vanessa, "We need to talk about the settlement. Meet me at Brennan's coffee shop, 6 p.m. Monday." To Ryan, "I want to end this. Let's meet and figure something out. Brennan's coffee shop, 6 p.m. Monday." They both agreed. I got there early, sat in the back corner, ordered coffee, waited. Vanessa arrived first. She looked around, saw me, hesitated for a second. Then, with a resigned sigh, she walked over and sat down across from me. "Thank you for meeting me," she said quietly, her eyes averted. "Sure," I replied, my tone flat. "Alex, I want to apologize, really apologize. I know I hurt you. I know I destroyed our marriage. And I'm sorry." "Okay? Okay? That's it?" Her voice wavered with emotion. "What do you want me to say?" I asked, unfazed. "I want you to forgive me. I want us to find a way past this." "There's no way past this, Vanessa. You know that." "But—" The door opened. Ryan walked in. He froze when he saw us. "What is he doing here?" Vanessa asked, her voice cracking with frustration. "Same thing you are, trying to survive," I replied. Ryan walked over, looking between us. His face was tight with suspicion. "You set this up?" "Yeah," I said, watching his face darken. "I wanted you both in the same room. I wanted you to see what you've become." Vanessa stood up, shaking her head. "I'm leaving." "Sit down," I said, my voice low but firm. She sat. Ryan stayed standing, still fuming. "Say what you need to say." I looked at both of them. "Here it is. You two destroyed my life, my marriage, my trust, my savings, everything I built. And you did it because you were selfish, because you wanted something and didn't care who you hurt." "Alex," Vanessa started, but I cut her off. "I'm not finished." I leaned in slightly. "I've spent the last 3 months destroying you back, and I'm not sorry. You lost your job, Vanessa. Your home, your money, your reputation. Ryan, you lost your career, your apartment, your credibility, and you're both miserable." "We know," Ryan said quietly. "We get it. You won. Congratulations." "I didn't win. Nobody wins in this. But I made sure you lost worse." Vanessa was crying now, her face twisted in regret. "What do you want from us?" "Nothing. I don't want anything from you. I just wanted you to know that actions have consequences. You don't get to walk away clean." "So what now?" Ryan asked. "Now you live with what you did. You figure out how to rebuild. And you remember that the next time you're tempted to betray someone." I stood up, dropped a folder on the table in front of Vanessa. "That's your settlement, Vanessa. $5,000. Take it or leave it. We go to trial Thursday. If you take it, you sign away everything. If you don't, the judge will give you less." She opened the folder, reading the agreement. Her eyes locked onto mine, filled with desperation. "This is nothing." "It's more than you deserve," I said, my voice cold. Ryan looked at the paperwork and scowled. "This is insane. You're going to leave her destitute." "She left herself destitute when she stole from me." "I'll help her," Ryan said. "We'll figure it out." "With what? You're broke, unemployed, facing legal action from your ex-wife and the SEC. You can barely help yourself." He didn't respond. He knew it was true. Vanessa signed the agreement with shaking hands. "I hate you." "Yeah, I know. I hope you're happy." "I'm not, but I'm satisfied." I took the signed document, turned, and walked out of the coffee shop. I didn't look back. 3 days later, the divorce was finalized. The judge reviewed the settlement, signed off on it, and it was done. I kept the house, the retirement accounts, my savings, everything. Vanessa got $5,000 and her personal belongings. Ryan got nothing. because he was never part of the marriage anyway. The following week, I saw them one last time. They were loading boxes into Ryan's damaged BMW at the motel, moving somewhere, anywhere, trying to start over. I drove past slowly, made eye contact with Vanessa. She looked exhausted, defeated, broken. Ryan looked worse. I didn't stop, didn't wave, just kept driving. That night, I sat in my house alone, quiet, empty, victorious. Patricia called to congratulate me. Clara sent a text. "You did it. How does it feel?" I didn't know how to answer. I'd won. Completely. Thoroughly. I'd taken everything from them that they'd taken from me. I'd been precise, strategic, legal, never crossed the line into anything that would land me in jail. But sitting there in the silence, I felt hollow. Winning didn't feel like I thought it would. Maybe that's the real cost of revenge. You get everything you want, and it still doesn't fill the hole. My phone buzzed. Another text from Clara. "Want to grab a drink?" I thought about it, thought about staying home in the empty house, thought about everything I'd done. Then I texted back, "Yeah, let's go." I grabbed my keys, locked the door, got in my car. Behind me, the house stood dark and silent, a monument to everything I'd won and everything I'd lost. I drove away and didn't look back.